Okie doke. Hello, Ruth. Nice to see you. Thank you so much
Hello
for
there.
being here. So, Ruth, you are a menopause coach. So it's lovely for you to be here. I'm just wondering if you are able to tell us a bit about yourself, how you got into doing what you do, how you're able to help women move forwards. Because as we know, we get to this point in our lives where our bodies are doing all this weird stuff, our anxiety levels are through the roof, and the menopause is having these massive problems with our mind and body. So yeah, it'd be great to hear about how you do what you do and why. Thank you.
I help menopausal women lose that stubborn belly fat, and I also help them to feel better about themselves, feeling fit and fabulous again. Because a lot of women lose that confidence when they get through into perimenopause and into menopause. They lose the confidence they had when they were younger. So I started studying the menopause after my poor sister had an awful perimenopausal. She went to the doctors because she was very anxious. She didn't want to do any work anymore. She wanted to give up her job. She was very tearful, and all they gave her was antidepressants. So she took the antidepressants, but that didn't solve anything. She steadily got worse and worse, and sadly, she started drinking, and she died of liver failure last year. So
So sorry.
that's my legacy to my sister Becky, to actually help women through menopause and guide them, give them information, and just point them in the right direction. If I can't help them, my program is based on nutrition and mindset and exercise. But if I can't help them because it's really a deep set problem, I can then point them in the right direction to somebody that can help with those
Amazing,
symptoms.
amazing. And such a good thing to do, such a great cause. And it's sad that we have to go through these adversities to get to this point in our life. But what an amazing and worthwhile thing to do. Now, the menopause is not massively talked about. I know it is becoming more so, but generally it's been a bit of a taboo subject. I know over the years there's been a lot of controversy about HRT, whether or not it's good for us. And many of the women who are watching this now, I guess, are fearful of that because of the bad press that things like that have had. What can you just sort of describe what is the menopause, I guess, is my first question, and then go on to talk about
So
the ways that we can help ourselves.
So generally, we start to feel the symptoms. Well, basically, when we're born with 2 million eggs in our ovaries. And then as we get to adolescence and have our periods, we then lose about 11,000 of those eggs every time we have a period. So by the time we get to the age of 30, we only have about 20% of our eggs left in our ovaries.
Okay.
So by the time we get to 40, we've only got 10% of our eggs left in our ovaries. So that's when we get into the 40s, we start to find our body finds it harder to stimulate the ovulation and pop those eggs out. So we get this up and down levels of our estrogen.
Yeah.
This is why a lot of women in their sort of mid 40s start to have disturbed sleep. They start to weight gain. They start to think they're having an early steps of dementia. They're having problems with their partners, because they just have got no libido. So all this happens, this perimenopausal phase, it happens between 7 to 10 years. So then we get to that stage when we've gone through perimenopausal, then we've got our last egg, that's our last period. We have a 12-month period that is perimenopausal, where we don't have any periods at all. We have one day, they say, of menopause. Then the rest, the third of our life, we're in postmenopause. So we've got those three
Wow.
stages: menopause, one day, and then our
I
postmenopause.
never knew that. Just one day, and that's it. And
One
then
day of menopause, yeah. Yeah.
wow, that's fascinating. I honestly never knew that. That's yeah, you learn something new every day. That's amazing. Okay. And then we're in this whole, so what does the menopause, I mean, I know we talk about hot sweats and all that
So
stuff, hot flushes, and what does
when
it actually do?
I think there's a misconception actually with what the menopause is. A lot of people think that periods are gonna stop and they're just gonna get hot flushes. That's just a generalization. There's a lot more to it, because as we go through perimenopausal and have all these fluctuations in our estrogen levels, we do experience a lot of different symptoms. A lot of people, itchiness, obviously the hot flushes, the disturbance at night, the going to the wanting to go to the toilet more because it starts to affect our urinary tract. We have difficulty in digesting our food because of the estrogen levels. We start putting weight on, and the weight starts to come around the middle more so than what it did when we were younger. We start to have heart palpitations as well. So
Okay.
our estrogen receptors are in every single bodily function in our body. We have it in our joints, our heart, our brain, you name it. Our estrogen levels keep us at that optimal health when we're younger. So as we go through into perimenopause or then hit menopause, we're then not producing any eggs at all. So our estrogen levels are at the lowest level. The main hormone is estradiol, which is produced by the ovaries. This is what keeps our health. There's underlying problems as well of menopause. You've got osteoporosis, which is totally unavoidable, and I advocate through my program to change your nutrition, eat more phytoestrogen foods. So we're creating an estrogen level with our food intake. I also advocate doing exercise, doing weight-bearing exercises to actually increase the density of our bones because we start
Mhm.
to absorb our calcium. And I also coach people as well of that different mindset. So we have a lot of habits that we had when we were younger. We think we can lose weight by doing those things that we did when we were younger, but no, it's all about changing our outlook of what the menopause is doing as we age. So we need to speak to our doctors. I know a lot of women are really frightened about the HRT because of what came out back along about it, but it's nothing to be feared. If we get hold of a menopausal clinic and just tell them our symptoms, and then they will give us advice, and you can be then referred to the doctors. And if you're armed with all like a huge case study of yourself with all your symptoms, then you can actually put it to your doctor, and then your doctor will be able to advise you what you can do. I know that certain women that have been through breast cancer and that can't take HRT, but there are natural HRT products that you can take. So my advice is anyone that's going through menopause, perimenopausal, is just to find out as much information as they can from these menopause clinics, and also online. You can go to these menopause societies all around the world. You get the Australians, the American, got the UK societies, just to arm yourself with that information, and then you know what's happening.
Mhm.
It's as you said, Amy, it's very much a taboo, the menopause. It was all hush hush. You know, you
Yeah.
don't. Your mothers never spoke about it. Your grandparents never spoke about it. So what I'm trying to do is to just make it a bit more open, so everyone's talking about it and everyone knows what that transition is. And you know, we're spending a third of our lives in menopause,
A
so we
long
really
time.
don't
Yeah, it's
turn
a really
over.
long time. I think that's the thing, isn't it? We don't, our bodies have always behaved a certain way, you know, pretty much along our lives. Then we get to this point and our bodies are doing really weird stuff. And what I find is a lot of my clients is it's difficult for them to differentiate between, is it a menopause symptom? Is this anxiety? Like you just mentioned, heart palpitations. Well, that's a classic anxiety symptom as well if you're having heart palpitations. So what is it? What is it caused by? And it's very difficult to know. You know, there's no sort of banner that says you're in the menopause, woohoo, welcome. That doesn't happen. So we just don't know. You know, I know there's tests you can take, or you can speak to your doctor and you know they'll test your hormone levels, but generally we don't know. It's just guesswork. So what do we do? How do we combat that? What are the things that we can do in
Yeah,
terms
well,
of the
the
diet,
one
our lifestyle?
yeah, the one thing though that the doctors cannot test you for perimenopause because your hormones, you know, that day your hormones might be imbalanced, but the next day they might be okay. It's just, you know, with
Just the
perimenopause
menopause, yeah.
levels going up and down. The best my advice is your nutrition.
Yeah.
Eating whole foods, eating a lot of soya-based products. I know some people can't eat soya-based products, but you can take the flavones supplements that
Yes.
are the same as the soya products. So, you know, soya milk, tofu, tempeh. You've got your quinoa as well, which has got this, if you're a vegetarian, it's got the same amino acids as meat, so you're getting your phytoestrogens in that way. It's just eating simple. What I would say is just eating lots of greens as well. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it's advised that we should eat between 2 to 3 cups, that's the American cups, of vegetables at every meal, just
Right.
filling up with
Yeah.
that,
How many
just
of us are
filling the
actually
body.
doing that? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazing. Yeah.
you know,
It's stuff like this that we just don't know, that, you know, no one's ever told us. We get to this point in our lives and we're like, oh, what do I do? Like, what is good for me? What is going to make me feel better? What is going to stop all these things from happening?
yeah.
And like you say, if it's bringing it back to basics and looking at your diet, that's a fairly easy thing for us all to fix. And what about the menopausal belly fat? Because I know that's something that a lot of
Yeah,
women really struggle with.
yeah, the menopausal belly fat is actually it's caused by the drop in estrogen levels. It's a rise in the cortisol levels as well. Where the cortisol levels are raised, the insulin kicks in, then the insulin kicks in and then stores all that around the belly. That's the simplicity of it. But by doing yoga, doing breath work, relaxation, just going for a walk, we can then just reduce those cortisol levels, those stress levels. So we don't want to be thinking, oh, I've got a really big belly, I must go and do a load of sit-ups. You know, that's not the answer. Is just to have a less intense form of exercise and eat those whole foods, eat the foods.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's
Amazing.
so
And that's the simple thing as well for anxiety. You know, I always recommend yoga, Pilates, all of those things to build up your strength and also be, you know, connected, mindful with everything that's going around you. So actually, if you're menopausal and you have health anxiety, it's a win-win situation. You know, you're combating both with very simple steps. So, you know, your exercise, your diet, your mindfulness, things that we can all implement and actually, you know, don't cost the earth. It's just simple changes and tweaks to our routine, our lifestyle, that we're able to do.
just recognizing that symptoms, some, you know, obviously some symptoms of anxiety are different, but if you have got symptoms, menopausal symptoms of anxiety, being able to, as you say, to step back and think, yeah, well, that's my menopause body doing that, you know,
Yeah,
let's help it by eating some whole foods, going for a walk, going for a swim, talking to people. Conversation is so important, communicating with other women that feel the same as you as
that's
well, you know,
it.
that
Yeah,
across.
know that you're not alone because we know we're
Yeah.
all going through very. So this is a coaching program that you have. You're able to coach women through this. Tell me a bit about your coaching program and how you're able to work with other people.
Well, I work with people on a one-to-one basis. So I talk with them first just to find out what they want, what results they want from the program. So then I adapt to them. But the basics of the program is to lose the belly fat. It's just helping them to resolve their belly fat by just balancing their hormones and just creating a more less intense exercise regime, not restricting diet. So many people think that they have to cut calories out to lose weight. It's not, you know, you probably eat more and more whole foods to actually burn the calories. So I just I take my clients and I just coax them. I don't change anything. They're eating. I might just give them little hacks, little different tweaks to what they're eating. So if they're eating a milk chocolate, just to change to dark chocolate. If they like crisps, how to change to kale chips. If they like their pasta, changing it to quinoa. So it's just little different tweaks. The first
Mhm.
week of the program is for them just being accountable for themselves and being aware of what they're eating, how that changes their mood. Do they feel anxious? Are they sleeping? Are they hydrated as well? So we go through that whole week of just keeping it simple, and then the second week we then start to implement a few changes. And
Amazing.
it's just amazing how people, once you become accountable for what you're actually doing, eating, and thinking, how it changes everything completely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we habit form all the time. You know, everything we do, our breakfast is pretty much the same. I bet most people have the same thing, do the same thing, have a similar sort of meal plan throughout the week. And that's just what we know. So we don't know whether that's a good or bad thing until somebody like you comes in and says, no, swap out this for this or do that instead. So yeah, amazing. So that's brilliant. It's really interesting. So if people want to get hold of you, where can they find you? Where can they find out more information?
Well, they can go through you if they're one of
I'll
your
pop your
ladies.
link on here.
Yeah, well, if you put the link on, also I'm on. You can get me by email. It's ruthlpratt@gmail.com, and on my personal profile page, which is Ruth Pratt, or on my menopause or belly fat be gone page. So
Belly fat
this,
be gone. I love it.
obviously,
I love
yeah.
that. That's brilliant. I love the title. So I'll pop that in the group for people to log on and find you. But yeah, thank you, Ruth. I really appreciate you coming on. I think, you know, we women of this certain age really do struggle, and I see that because I see a lot of people coming to me who are of that bracket. So it's a really tough time, and it's really interesting to know there is so much more that you can do out there. You know, not just the standard things that we've always been told. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
For having me.
You're very welcome. Speak soon. Bye.
Bye bye.